Is it possible that a decision that appears merely administrative, permission to film at a World Heritage Site, is in fact the boldest signal in the history of modern Korean culture? A move that quietly shifts the axis of meaning from a royal past to the face of an idol named Jungkook? The question sounds exaggerated, even sensational, yet that is precisely where the surprise lies. For in January 2026, when the Korean Cultural Heritage Committee granted conditional approval to HYB to use Gyeongbokgung Palace and Sungnimun Gate, the world was not witnessing a simple bureaucratic process. It was witnessing a symbolic event with the potential to change how South Korea understands its own history, identity, and cultural power. For centuries, Gyeongbokgung has stood as the heart of the Joseon dynasty's authority, a sacred space carrying narratives of kingship, statehood, and historical continuity. This place is not an entertainment stage. It is a living artifact. Thus, when news began to circulate that BTS, a global idol group, would record a pre-comeback video there, the initial reaction from many quarters was not euphoria, but shock mixed with suspicion. Why now? Why BTS? And more intriguingly, why did public attention and international media focus on a single name? Jungkook. On the surface, the decision appears collective. BTS is set to make a comeback as a complete group after 3 years and 9 months of hiatus, a moment long awaited by ARMY around the world. Their fifth full-length album, Erarang, is scheduled for release on March 20, 2026, marking a new chapter after the anthology Proof in 2022. Yet beneath this narrative of togetherness lies a deeper layer of meaning. Bang Si-hyuk, the founder of HYBE and the architect behind BTS's global expansion, is not merely planning a musical comeback. He is constructing a cultural statement on a national scale, and Jungkook is placed squarely at its center. The conditional approval from the Cultural Heritage Committee, decided on January 20, 2026, came with the requirement to form a special subcommittee to review the impact on cultural heritage. The technical details sound rigid and academic, filming only on Gyeongbokgung's closed days every Tuesday. The use of media facades in the form of nighttime LED projections on the walls of Gwanghwamun and the Sungnimun Fortress, and strict supervision to prevent damage to historical structures. Yet within these very details lies an irony. A nation long known for being highly protective of its heritage sites is now opening a gap, however small, for K-pop, an industry often regarded as modern, commercial, and by some conservative circles too popular for historical spaces. Why is the state willing to take this risk? The official answer is cultural and tourism promotion. HYBE estimates that more than 50 million global viewers will be exposed to K-heritage and K-culture through live broadcasts to 190 countries, reaching approximately 300 million OTT subscribers. These numbers are tantalizing, comparable to the World Cup or the Olympics. But numbers never stand alone. They always carry political, cultural, and symbolic meaning. When global cameras are directed at Gyeongbokgung, who will be the face the world remembers most? Not the stone walls, not the wooden gates, but the human figure standing before them. This is where Jungkook's name emerges as the narrative axis. For years, Jungkook has been known as the Golden Magne, a symbol of talent, discipline, and BTS's global appeal. Yet in this context, he is more than a group member. He represents a generation of modern Koreans looking outward to the world, a generation raised not in palaces, but in the digital era, now granted space at the very heart of national history. Bang Si-hyuk's decision to place Jungkook, symbolically and narratively, at the center of this project is no coincidence. It is a strategic choice laden with meaning. Many cultural analysts have begun to ask, is this the boldest form of soft power South Korea has ever deployed? Instead of confining history to silent museums, the nation is allowing it to interact directly with a global pop icon. The reputational risk is real. If the public perceives this as excessive commercialization, criticism could arise from within the country itself. Yet Bang Si-hyuk seems to understand something often overlooked. History that is not seen will, over time, be forgotten. By placing Jungkook at Gyeongbokgung, Korean history is not being diminished, but invited to speak in the language of the present era. Public reactions reflect the tension between pride and unease. On social media, particularly Platform X, Fan accounts such as @yoon_cookie97 flooded timelines with cries of BTS is coming, accompanied by disbelief that this moment is truly happening. ARMY from various countries, including Indonesia, have expressed their desire to travel directly to Seoul, turning the city into not only a political and historical center, but also a global emotional magnet. At the same time, discussions about security, audience capacity, and potential crowd risks have become serious topics, signaling that euphoria must go hand in hand with caution. Yet beneath all of this lies one surprise that is difficult to ignore. This is not merely about BTS returning, nor about a concert at Gwanghwamun Square being filled for the first time by a single artist group. It is about how Bang Si-hyuk reads historical momentum and chooses to act upon it. By placing Jungkook at the heart of this narrative, he seems to be saying that the future of Korean culture is no longer separate from its past. The two meet at a single point on a single stage in a single moment that the world will witness. Behind the conditional permits, filming schedules, and concert plans lies a larger question. Will this bold move be remembered as a visionary breakthrough, or as the most risky cultural gamble in K-pop history? The answer has yet to be revealed. But one thing is already clear. Since that decision was made, Korean history is no longer standing still. It has begun to move, and it moves to a rhythm the world knows well. A rhythm that leads to the name Jungkook. Is this purely about art and music? Or is it in fact a cultural strategy designed with almost academic precision? This is where the name Bang Si-hyuk can no longer be separated from Jungkook. Because behind the camera lights, behind the cheers of ARMY echoing from Seoul to Jakarta, lies a calculation far colder, more rational, and far riskier. A calculation about how a nation presents itself to the world through a single figure chosen with full awareness. Bang Si-hyuk is not an ordinary producer. He is not merely a driver of the entertainment industry who understands global market trends. For more than a decade, he has positioned BTS not only as a music group, but as an instrument of South Korea's soft power. Yet the move involving Jangbokkgung and Gwanghwamun marks an escalation unlike anything before. This is no longer about music charts, album sales, or streaming records. It is about symbolic legitimacy. And in the realm of symbols, who stands at the center of the stage often matters more than what is being sung. Jungkook, in this context, appears not as the youngest idol or the main vocalist, but as the face of post-industrial Korean generation, a generation that grew up alongside the internet, globalization, and a hybrid identity between the local and the global. When the camera frames Jungkook against the backdrop of Jangbokkgung, the world does not merely see a singer. It sees a carefully curated narrative. A modern, confident Korea that is unafraid to place its ancient heritage alongside contemporary cultural expression. The Cultural Heritage Committee's decision to grant conditional approval reflects a very real internal tension. South Korea is known for its strict conservation policies toward historical sites. Every change, every activity, must pass through lengthy impact assessments. The formation of a special subcommittee to review effects on cultural heritage is not merely a formality. It is a quiet acknowledgement that what BTS, and implicitly Jungkook, are about to do occupies a gray zone between preservation and transformation. Here lies the true surprise. The state is willing to engage in dialogue with pop culture, not as a threat, but as a partner. The use of media facade techniques on the walls of Gwanghwamun and the Sungnimun Fortress becomes the most powerful symbol of this dialogue. Nighttime LED projections are not just visual technology, they are a metaphor. History, usually illuminated by static lights, is now lit by a moving narrative. And that narrative carries Jungkook's face to millions of screens around the world. Is this a new form of cultural education? Or is it the global commodification of history? The question is deliberately left open, because that very ambiguity is what gives it power. Plans for concerts at Gwanghwamun Square and Seoul Square further reinforce the message that this comeback is no ordinary event. For the first time, a single artist group will hold a solo concert in public spaces traditionally reserved for collective and symbolic cultural events. The capacities, 18,000 people at Gwanghwamun and 30,000 at Seoul Square, are not merely logistical figures. They signal the state's trust in BTS and its central figure to manage crowds, emotions, and global attention without compromising public safety or the dignity of these spaces. This is where Bang Si-hyuk takes his greatest risk. If failure occurs, whether in terms of security or public perception, the impact will not fall solely on HYBE or BTS, but also on the state institutions that granted permission. But if it succeeds, the outcome will extend far beyond the music industry. South Korea will gain a new precedent for how cultural heritage can be revitalized through popular culture. And Jungkook, inevitably, will be recorded as one of the key faces of that precedent. ARMY's reaction shows how this strategy operates on an emotional level. On social media, enthusiasm mixes with disbelief. Many describe the moment as history being rewritten. International fans plan trips, discuss tickets, and even debate the symbolic meaning of Arirang as the album title. A Korean folk song deeply tied to national identity now becomes the name of a global pop album. Once again, Bang Si-hyuk chooses not to play it safe. He selects a symbol that is heavy, emotional, and potentially controversial, and places Jungkook at the front line. Perhaps the greatest surprise of all is how the state and the entertainment industry appear to move in parallel without open conflict. There are no harsh statements, no outright rejections. What exists instead is deliberation, conditions, and supervision. This signals a shift in paradigm. South Korea seems to recognize that national identity in the 21st century can no longer be built solely through narratives of the past. It must be renegotiated, and that negotiation is taking place on the global stage. This demonstrates that Bang Si-hyuk's bold move is not an impulsive act, but a strategy designed to answer a fundamental question. How can the world be made not only to consume Korean culture, but also to understand its symbols and history? By placing Jungkook at the heart of this project, he offers an answer that is bold, emotional, and full of risk. And when the concert curtain rises and the cameras begin to roll, the world will soon find out whether this strategy will be remembered as a cultural masterpiece or as a gamble that went too far. What truly happens when history is no longer merely read, but watched live by tens of millions of eyes around the world? This is the question now hanging in the air over Seoul as March 20th, 2026 approaches, a date that not only marks BTS's comeback, but also becomes the greatest test yet of how South Korea presents itself to the world. After strategies are designed, permits granted, and symbols arranged with precision, everything now moves toward a single point of convergence. An open stage at the heart of history, with Jungkook standing as the inevitable central figure. The album Arirang, chosen as the comeback title, is far from a random decision. It is a name loaded with emotional, historical, and political meaning. Arirang is not merely a folk song. It is a collective narrative of separation, suffering, hope, and Korean national identity. When Bang Si-hyuk allows, more precisely encourages, this title to be used by BTS, he is performing a bold symbolic act, carrying the nation's collective memory into the space of global pop culture. And when Jungkook becomes the most recognizable face of this project, the implicit message grows even stronger. It is as if modern Korea is saying to the world, "This is who we are with our history, through the voice of our generation." A live broadcast to 190 countries, reaching 300 million OTT subscribers, transforms this concert from a national event into a global phenomenon. The scale is comparable to the World Cup or the Olympics, but with one fundamental difference. There are no other countries on display. There is no competition. There is only Korea, its history and its music. In this context, Jungkook is no longer merely an idol. He functions as a de facto cultural envoy, a role usually carried by diplomats, academics, or state institutions. The symbolic weight placed upon him is immense. Within Seoul itself, preparations are underway with an intensity that reflects a clear awareness of the risks involved. Security plans are tightened, crowd management is designed in meticulous detail, and coordination between HYBE, the Seoul Metropolitan Government, and related institutions proceeds relentlessly. All parties understand that a single small misstep could shift the narrative from cultural breakthrough to national controversy. And it is precisely here that the emotional tension reaches its peak. South Korea is staking its soft power reputation on one event, one moment, and one face that the world will remember. International public reaction suggests that this gamble is already yielding results, even before the event takes place. ARMY from various countries flood social media with travel plans, speculation about visual concepts, and discussions of the symbolic meaning of Ararang. In Indonesia, one of BTS's largest fan bases, enthusiasm blends with pride, as if this moment also belongs to them. At this point, the boundary between the national and the global begins to blur. Korean history no longer belongs solely to Korea. It becomes the world's emotional consumption. Perhaps the greatest surprise lies in how this moment will be remembered in the future. If successful, this comeback will be recorded as a turning point where cultural heritage and modern entertainment are no longer positioned as opposing poles. Instead, they will be seen as forces that reinforce one another. Jungkook, in this sense, will be remembered not only as a pop star, but as a symbol of cultural transition, a figure standing between past and future, connecting palace and global stage. But history is always written by outcomes, not intentions. When the media facade lights up the walls of Gwanghwamun, when music echoes across Gwanghwamun Square, and when cameras frame Jungkook against a backdrop that has stood for centuries, the world will deliver its own judgment. Will this be remembered as the moment South Korea confidently embraced its hybrid identity, or as a move that was too bold, too fast, and too risky? One thing is certain: after that night, there will be no turning back. Bang Si-hyuk will have stepped far beyond the entertainment industry's safe zone. Jungkook will have been placed at the heart of Korean history, not as a spectator, but as a leading actor. And when the echoes of Ararang merge with the cheers of millions, history will no longer be a silent backdrop. It will live, vibrate, and speak, with a voice the world knows well.